Welcome to My Collaborative Team's CollaborEAT, a live series of 10 to 15-minute video conversations that you can find, if you're not attending live, on Facebook and YouTube. It takes place every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. CollaborEAT Live provides digestible content to both professionals and to the public on a variety of topics relating to the collaborative process. Our CollaborEAT Live episodes consist of a variety of topics driven by our followers and by our members. Topics range from ethical considerations, best practices, problem solving, marketing, specialized topics relating to collaborative practice, practice tools, and more. Whether you join us live or watch in your own free time, you can count on our weekly CollaborEAT Lives to provide you with thought-provoking conversation and educational information about the collaborative process. And our guest today is Kristen Boldt, a member of my collaborative team and a collaborative attorney, mediator, and a trainer. She currently serves as the chair of the leadership team for Iowa Collaborative Divorce and serves on their training and education and on their standards and ethics committees for her practice group and for the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals. Her firm, Harmony Law, interesting name for a family divorce lawyer, focuses on family law, guardianships, and conscious contracting. We'll talk a little bit about that because I know that's one of the presentations that you have. Whether working with families or organizations, she helps clients create solutions that allow them to maintain relationships beyond the current conflict and work together going forward. Welcome, Kristen. So nice to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, and we've met, I think, if only briefly, at the collaborative happy hours on Friday. And tell us a little bit about, is it called Collabfest, which is kind of a play on words like we do CollaborEAT?
Yes,
Tell us
that's
about
exactly what it is. And we did it as Collabfest Midwest in the hopes that we can inspire other Collabfests around the country.
So being in the Midwest in Iowa, how big is collaborative and how many folks do you hope to have attend your Collabfest?
Well, so Iowa actually has 3 practice groups. Our group in Central Iowa here is the largest. We have around 20 members. There's also a group in Eastern Iowa and a small group up in Northwestern Iowa. So it's growing. And we've seen a big grow. A few years ago, a group of us went to Minnesota to do some advanced training on using the full team and integrating that mental health professional on the team. And that's made a huge difference. It makes it such a distinctive process from traditional divorce. It's been much easier to market that way, much easier to talk to clients, talk to the public, and really provide a distinct product. And so when we decided to design Collabfest as a one-day conference, we find it's easier to do our CLEs and our continuing in one day rather than little pieces through the year. Sometimes it's just good to have one traditional day.
Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing and marketing Collabfest. Is this your first, or going on the web, I've seen that you've had a few before this?
Well, we've done different conferences. This is the first official Collabfest Midwest. This was, and we want this to be a tradition going forward, to have this annual conference, same time of year. Hopefully we can be in person at some point, or at least be a hybrid. And for this first year, what we've learned from a lot of us have gotten involved in IACP and different committees on the international level, is a lot of groups have the same struggles that we do with how do you get the clients in there. If you get one client on board, how do you get the other spouse on board? What does a full team look like? A lot of the same questions. And so we designed the Collabfest agenda to really go in depth of what this really looks like in day-to-day practice. And then also to bring in some of the innovative things that are going on around the country. So we are highlighting our local talent that we have here, but we've also we're bringing in Brian Galbraith from Toronto.
I saw that. And Bob Merlin from
and Bob
Florida.
Merlin's going to join our panel on the UCLA and talk about raising those standards so we have consistency across the state.
So what's it like in the Midwest for collaborative? What you're describing in your 3 groups, I hate to say it, barely makes up a single group in some other parts of the country. So how hard has it been to get either attorneys or financial professionals or mental health folks to kind of at least learn about collaborative?
It has been, we've had, since the group started, probably 12 or 15 years ago, I've been in here about 8 years. It has kind of ebbed and flowed. We have noticed an uptick and having more attorneys approach us asking about collaborative. What is this? I hear you guys talk about this all the time. What are you doing? And so we are starting to generate more interest. And it is a smaller practice group compared to nationally, but we're a smaller population too.
What is your population? Your city is?
Des Moines.
Oh, well,
we're the capital, but I'd say with the suburbs, we're maybe 500,000 at most, and that's bringing in the metro suburbs there. So.
And how large is your family court? How large is your family court?
So in Polk County, we have 3 rotating judges on our family court.
Okay.
And so not as large. We're seeing an uptick as we reach out to our mental health professionals. We're seeing in our referral sources, we're seeing and creating different entry points into collaborative. That's where we're starting to see the growth, because people don't necessarily know to look for us. And so it's been a very deliberate attempt to tell that story to a broader audience.
And so Collabfest involves some of your sister states, and are you in touch with those other collaborative groups in Minnesota or Nebraska or?
We have reached out to all of those, and in the past, when we've done events, when we've done some advanced trainings, we've had a good response of bringing people in from some of those other states to help, because it's not as big here in the Midwest as it is, on the coast, as those things are.
And what's your divorce rate? Is it different in the Midwest? Do families tend to stay together longer? Is it pretty much the same?
I think it's pretty much the same. And boy, that's a really interesting question. I don't know the statistics exactly on that. We have had mandatory mediation for about 20 years here in central Iowa. And so, of course, couples are required to go to mediation before they go to court. And so what that has done is our rate of cases that actually end up in the courtroom is less than 5% now. Most of them settle in mediation or collaborative somewhere along the process.
And are your judges collaborative friendly? Or how do you go about educating them?
We have intentionally gone out to educate them. We also have a couple now that were in our group and now have gone onto the bench.
Oh, how wonderful.
So,
okay.
Which is very helpful. But they've been very supportive, and I've had judges invite me to come talk to different groups because they really like, especially the family law judges, they like that we can help these families in a way that is preventing a lot of the collateral damage of traditional court system.
So tell us the agenda for Collabfest Midwest. I love the rhyming. Collabfest. Yes. It almost sounds like you should have an opening rock group,
right?
As part of the presentation. But tell us the presenters and who's going to be there and what they're going to talk about.
So we are opening, Andrea McGinn with the Law Shop, who is a local here, is going to start out talking about selling the collaborative. How do we do that initial consultation with clients? How do you bring in that other spouse? We are also doing, the bulk of our morning is a live full team presentation. And so we will be doing vignettes that will be doing those role plays and then breaking out in between sections into the breakout rooms to discuss. So it'll be very interactive in that morning to really get into what does that full team look like with all those different professionals in there, and how do those professionals create that balance in that team. The afternoon is Brian Galbraith with the Streamline Collaborative and a flat fee presentation that he does to really talk
and his jokes, if you've heard him before.
His jokes, yes.
And his jokes.
But to really address some of making it more accessible. We don't have, our economy is different than it is in where you are. And so we want to make that this process accessible to everyone. So talking about that, we also have Mackenzie Walters, who with Storystruck Marketing, and to talk about how do you sell this to clients. It's a different product, requires a different sales mechanism, and really using that storytelling to connect with families and clients to be able to help them. We have the panel discussing the Uniform Collaborative Act, as we mentioned earlier, with Robert Merlin and Diane Dornberg and myself. And then I'll be doing a part at the end on practice group development and how do we really build those relationships and those connections that help us all operate as our highest selves and successfully move collaborative farther into the community.
And this will be taking place when?
This is on Friday, May 14th from 9 a.m. to 4:30 on Central Time. And it's going to be on Zoom. So you can easily join from the comfort of your office or your back porch, wherever you want to be, and come in.
I don't know about the Midwest back porch at the moment, but okay. I've been checking.
We're okay. We had a lovely 60-degree weekend, and then yesterday it snowed in the morning.
And I'm sure that Eric is going to put up the information on how to register. But it sounds to me like what you've tried to put together is a threefold condensed marketing workshop, educating the attendees about what collaborative is. I assume you expect a lot of folks who are not yet collaboratively trained to attend, and you're trying to teach those that are, and maybe those that would be, a little bit about marketing and how to market, which I think extends whether it's collaborative or not. Good marketing information is good marketing information. Telling a story is a good way oftentimes to get people to listen as opposed to telling them facts or giving them advice. And so it sounds like a fascinating day, and you've put this together. Was it hard to put this together? How did you go about picking and choosing the folks that were going to present and the theme that you have?
Actually, we started talking about this during the last IACP forum, which was online. We hosted a watch party out at the law shop where a couple of our presenters come from. They have their own building and they have a speakeasy in their basement. And so
in their law office, okay.
In their law office. It's a fantastic place. And so a group of us were congregating and watching, and it kind of came about very naturally. As we talked about what we wanted to do.
Oh, we can do this, right?
We can do this, and how, what would be, the ideas that came up, what would really helpful. We want to get this message out farther for people that weren't there, for some of our local people, for those that are, that haven't trained yet, that are curious about it, but also those are new that I just completed one of my trainings, and they said, I wish we could see, professionals in action. And so that's why we're doing that live team demonstration with the discussion, so that people can really get in there and see what that looks like in practice for people that.
Wow, it sounds like you've put a lot of effort into creating an environment that gives everybody an intense smorgasbord taste, because any of those workshops or any of those sections could be a full day. Marketing could be a full day. Watching a team in action is what the IACP training is about. Talking about getting legislation, which is a Herculean task. All of those things, although you'll learn about that, all of those things going on at the same time. It sounds like a fascinating day, and on a Friday. A quick question. I know that in psychology, if you are licensed in the Midwest and you are part of what's called PsycPact, you can get licensed in adjacent states. Does the same thing hold true for continuing legal education? If, for instance, people from Minnesota or from Nebraska attend your workshop, or are they on their own for continuing education credit?
So we've applied for the Iowa continuing ed. What my experience has been, I know when I go to the trainings in Minnesota, I can submit those to Iowa for my continuing ed. So for most states, I think, if it's not sponsored within the state, you as an individual attorney can submit it for credit. And it's usually, if it's been approved somewhere else, they'll usually accept that.
I think
And
that's an
there's no
important.
cost to do it that way.
That's, I think, an important point. What's your attendance, your sign up so far? How busy how crowded is the internet going to be on that Friday?
Well, we're hoping, and this is our first year going out. So, we're hoping for maybe 60 to 70. I don't know the current number. I have delegated that to somebody else. So, but
Okay.
I know there is still room. We would very much like people to attend, and people from all of the different professions. This team environment, I've had a couple cases. I was on a pre-brief, a professional brief before I got on here, and the magic of having those neutrals on there is absolutely transformative. And
So
so,
I think that one of the things that Zoom has brought us, or Zoom, actually COVID has brought us Zoom, um, is the opportunity to see how people practice in other areas outside of our own domain. And so I'd encourage everybody. I have it marked on my calendar and hope to attend. And so thank you so much, Kristen, for participating in our CollaborEAT. And thank you for coming to our happy hours.
absolutely.
And you can invite everybody who attends your Collabfest Midwest to attend our happy hours as a bonus at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Those are great discussions over there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Eric is giving us a signal that it's about time to wrap up. Everybody enjoy your lunch. Kristen Boldt, Midwest Collabfest or Collabfest Midwest.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Bye-bye.